It's slowly working. It hasn't told me we're live yet. It still hasn't told me we're live yet. It's just spinning.
Beach ball of death.
It's not even a beach ball, it's just a blue circle. Oh.
The ring of death.
Rough. Amazing, we're live. Sweet.
Yay.
Hi everyone, I'm Peaches. Welcome to our Kee-Mo-Kee Alumni exclusive interview series. Today we're here with Chewy.
Hello.
So I had people submit some questions, and I have some questions for Chewy, and so we're just kind of have a little chat. And
I'm going to answer none of them.
Excellent interview! I got so good answers.
Just telling you this now.
Good thing I don't want a career as a reporter, because that would be rough.
I'm just going to say no comment for everything.
Rough. Amazing. Okay, so we'll start with some camp questions. How long were you at Kee-Mo-Kee?
As a staff member, 4 years. As a camper, 3 years, but with a gap in the middle for a few years with some big scouting projects.
Nice. Have you met Simon yet?
Simon, I have not. Nice to meet you, Simon.
This is Simon. Simon likes interesting facts and learning things.
What does he say, though?
He says interesting facts. He shares it with everyone on morning news. Yep. So Simon is also with us. What roles did you have while you were working at Kee-Mo-Kee?
Oh, geez. Officially, first year was kitchen staff, second year was counselor, third year was nature and out trip, and then fourth year was archery and out trip. On top of that, I ended up doing a lot of maintenance, a lot of inspection stuff. Sort of cleaned the water in my last year. I was the water boy, kind of. Yeah, jumped around a lot.
Nice. What was your favorite role that you had?
Oh. It's tough because I loved archery, but I also loved out trip. I think I would have to give it to out trip, to something, to one specifically. I would say the nature and out trip combo, because, man, out trip was just a blast.
I'm glad you liked out trip. I also liked out trip. What was your favorite program, like category, and then a program that like you participated in or ran?
Admittedly, coming from a mostly science background, the closest thing we have to science ends up being nature, just for the very, very, very slight amount of biology in it. And I gotta stress, it's pretty slight. When I was nature prog, though, I tried to add more to it. I tried to actually talk more about ecosystems and such like that. But yeah, I'd say nature, because it's also something that you don't really get a physical interpretation or experience with other than at a camp.
True. What's your favorite camp song?
Oh, that's easy. Rattling Bog.
Obviously.
It's not even a question.
I literally wrote it down. I'm like, I already know the answer. Why do I need to ask this?
No camp song will ever match the energy of Rattling Bog.
It's a pretty good song. I very much enjoy it. What's really interesting is that a couple days ago we were filming some stuff at camp for Kee-Mo-Kee at home, and we were doing Green Grass Grows, and we're like, guys, I can't think of how this song actually goes because all I can hear is Chewy's version, and they're different. And so we struggled for a good 5 minutes being like, I actually don't know what the song is.
It's not even a contest.
Yeah, it was quite interesting, but we figured it out because we definitely can't do Rattling Bog either because we're like, that one we definitely don't know. What is your favorite cabin?
That's tough. I think I have to give it to, outside of staff cabins, I have to give it to cabin 8, just because I've spent so much time in cabin 8.
Interesting.
I think in my year that I was a counselor, I literally spent probably half the weeks of that summer at least in cabin 8.
Wow. I don't think I've counseled very much in cabin 8. I did my CIT shadow week in cabin 8 though. So I had some sentimental attachments, but just cabin 8.
The only one I hadn't ever slept in was cabin 3, and I think I fixed that my last year. I think I actually did spend one night in cabin 3.
I love cabin 3. I don't know why, but I love cabin 3. How did you pick your camp name?
So it was kind of a combination of things, but I remember like the first day kind of walking in, and Phoenix was there actually. And it was funny because she was like, I don't know, what's a weird thing you can do? And I went, all right, Chewy. I'm like, cool. It works because I'm also working in the kitchen, so kind of food related.
Yes.
And then it just kind of stuck from there.
That's amazing. That also answers one of my other questions. What is an unusual talent that you have?
Well, fun story.
Casually turning into Chewbacca, as one does. What have you been doing since Kee-Mo-Kee?
Particularly university. I'm in a technology program, not technically engineering, but it's pretty much engineering. But in my other hours, I've been mentoring with robotics teams. Last summer, I worked at sort of a summer camp, but it wasn't really camp. It was more or less like a STEM trainee session for university and elementary school, or high school and elementary school kids could come and experience sort of crash course of what university was like. But for the past almost 7 months, I've been working at a locomotive, I forget what term they give to it, locomotive technologies manufacturing company. So I've been working with them on designing some of the new products.
Nice. Sounds way above anything that I could comprehend.
I'll give you this piece of info. Don't ever refer to it as a train in front of someone who does this kind of stuff for a living, because a train is the whole thing. Yes. The engine at the front is the locomotive, and they will get very angry if you mix those up.
But I can call it a train if I'm referring to the entire train, right?
Yes, technically.
Great, because I can't imagine ever talking about it when it's not just the whole train. I don't know when I'd ever be talking about the engine.
On very rare occasions, I've seen individual like locomotives go down a railroad, but very, very few and far between.
If I ever do, I will be like, hey, that's a locomotive, not a train.
But not a train.
Is it a train of locomotives?
Ooh, that is a good question. I might have to pass that on to my supervisor and ask him about that.
The real question here. Amazing. Okay, so it is Wilderness Wednesday, and as someone who did archery and nature and out trip, what is your favorite woodland creature?
I mean, before I answer that, archery as being a wilderness thing, kind of. It's about as much wilderness as sports is.
Hey, people go like hunting with bows and arrows in the forest. That's a wilderness still.
Okay. Favorite animal. I've always just been a big fan of bears, but I don't know if I'd say they're my favorite.
I love bears. Do you have a favorite kind of bear?
I mean, just because they're the least likely to attack and or kill you, black bears.
That's right.
Little proverb for you guys: if you ever run into bears, between black bears, grizzly bears, and polar bears, the old adage is, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. If it's white, good night.
Lovely.
Basically, if it's a black bear, stand your ground. They're likely to back off. If it's a grizzly bear, lay down and play dead. And if it's a polar bear, bye-bye.
Yeah. Also, Cap says Chewy and waved.
Hi, Cap. I'm surprised he didn't say Chew Toy. That was his nickname for me all the time.
True, I do remember.
Come on, Cap, you're slipping.
Honestly. Test, Cap. How do you make a campfire?
Well, that's easy. Every campfire needs 3 things. Well, 3 types of wood, I will say, and then there's 3 other things. But the 3 types of wood you're going to want to look for. Tinder is the smallest stuff. So for tinder, you can use like either dry leaves or pine needles or like really, really tiny sticks. But it's supposed to be small. It's supposed to be something that lights very, very quickly, burns up very, very quickly. Kindling is the next step, a little bit bigger. Think of like small branches on a tree. Once those get going, they take a bit more energy to get going, but they will burn for longer. And then fuel is your full logs. They take a lot, but they will continue to burn for longer. Basically, the easier something is to start to burn, the faster it'll burn out. So you want to have a nice mix of kind of everything. The other thing to keep in mind is that heat alone will not light a fire. You need a spark. So either a flint and steel or an actual lighter or a match. You can get a lot of friction going if you use the old bow and drill method where you're like rubbing the stick together. But that takes a lot of effort, so I don't recommend it.
Amazing. What is your best tip to starting a fire?
Don't choke it. So don't
Okay.
pile it over with sticks. You need to have air. You need to have oxygen flowing into it, because if there's no oxygen, you'll get like a quick little bit of flame, and then it just smolders out, and it turns into nothing but a pile of ash.
Lovely. That's fair. Okay. We have some online questions from campers and past staff.
All right.
Simba wanted to know, what's the best skill you gained at camp?
I think I have to say this just for Pants' benefit, but I think honestly my archery, because I was always relatively good at archery, but I think it got a lot better, especially teaching the program. I remember probably the first time I picked up a bow and arrow in my fourth summer, I was with Pants and we were with a school group. I was teaching them how to use the bow and arrow. So I was telling them, like, hold your arm out, pull the string back, and I was looking at the target, and then I go to look back at them to say, so this is what you need to do, and when you're ready, you just let go. And I wasn't looking at the arrow, and I looked, and all of their jaws just completely dropped. And I looked over to Pants, and he was looking at the target, jaw completely dropped too. And I looked over, and it was a dead straight bullseye. Wasn't even looking at the target, didn't even mean to. So I think for that reason, I have to say archery, because I've never been able to recreate that in my life.
That's amazing. Wow. Kendra would like to know, do you miss working at camp?
Absolutely. It's tough to say why, but like one of the biggest things is a lot of the people. I miss you. I miss. I almost said Peaches.
I miss you me twice, obviously.
I miss goofing around with Thumbs. He was always a blast. I still talk to Skimmer from time to time. It's still funny though. Like, for context, we've known each other for longer than we worked at Kee-Mo-Kee. We still only really refer to each other using our camp names, though.
Once you start, it's almost impossible to stop. Like, I don't know how anyone could just, like, stop referring to you as, like, your camp name. Like, I plan to be Peaches for the rest of my life.
I saw her every day for an entire year, and, like, Kee-Mo-Kee was only such a small part of that compared to everything else. But for some reason, that stuck so much more.
They're so much more fun.
Yeah.
And Savannah would like to know, what is your favorite themed dinner?
Oh, I think I have to go with, and I know this is more of a lunch thing than a dinner thing, but I think I have to go with Titan Bright. The reason I say that is because the robotics team I've been mentoring with for the past couple of years, their whole theme, their whole aesthetic is bright rainbow colors. So the fact that I can literally show up in my robotics wear, it's just so easy. It's so nice.
That's so good. I was gonna say something, I don't remember what it was. Oh, tomorrow is our Bright and Tight meal challenge, so you should submit a photo with your robotics gear for our sweet Bright and Tight meal challenge.
All right, then I'll keep that in mind.
Jeez. Okay, what is the funniest name you can think of for a pet?
Busy.
That is an odd name.
It is.
What animal would be the most terrifying if it could speak?
Oh, I'm gonna say an anglerfish, because they're just terrifying as is. It's like, if you've ever seen Finding Nemo, it's the one with the little bulb on its head.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's terrifying as is. Yeah, so being able to speak is, just a little bit worse.
Interesting. I was thinking giraffe, and I don't know why. Like, I don't have a reason for it. But I just feel like I would be like unsettled by a giraffe starting to have a conversation with me, probably because it's like 1,000 feet tall and I'm my size. So like,
what's weird is my brain immediately affiliated someone's voice with what a giraffe would sound like, and it wasn't David Schwimmer from Madagascar. It was Jerry Seinfeld for some reason.
Oh, interesting. See, that wouldn't be as scary.
Exactly. I feel like all giraffes, if they could talk, that they would sound like that, though.
Okay, that would definitely make them less scary.
Every giraffe sounds like Jerry Seinfeld.
What is your best or worst bug-related story?
Ooh. So it's going to be a combo, because both of them came from scouts in very, very close proximity. It wasn't the same weekend, but it was very, very close together. A friend of mine in scouts, he'd been in it for years. He had never gotten a single bug bite, and he told us exactly how he did it. He never wore bug spray.
Yeah.
Not joking you. He never, ever wore bug spray. And basically what he would say is, at absolute worst, he would get a bug bite on like the first day, and then they wouldn't touch them. They wouldn't touch him like forever until you put bug spray back on and reset it. I've found that to be hit and miss. I think it depends on the person.
Interesting.
But what was funny is the following weekend, we went out camping, and it was like it was not the middle of winter, but it was definitely pretty cold out. So we didn't bother bringing bug spray. So we were making jokes about how none of us are going to get bugs on us because we're not using bug spray. Went to bed that night, woke up the next morning. There was a lot of slugs everywhere.
Ooh, I don't like
Because we
slugs.
had hand warmers in our sleeping bags, and they get very attracted to the heat, especially in the cold
Ew.
winter. So there was a lot of slugs.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I think I'd cry.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Oh my
We
god.
called it hobo camp, but
Oh my god,
yeah.
that's so weird. Ew. Ew. I hate that. Okay,
Yeah.
our last question, and it is easily the most important question I'm going to ask you.
all right.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
So there's a spectrum to this.
Oh, interesting. There's a spectrum.
There are two structural parts that make up a sandwich. There is, well, two parts. The structure side of it,
Mhm.
i.e., two separated pieces of some sort of baked good with something in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the ingredient side, usually like a meat, cheese,
Mhm.
some sort of condiment. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
So one side you have the sandwich, which is the purest on both.
Mm-hmm.
On the far, far, far end of the spectrum, you got yourself a Pop-Tart because it's got a weird fruit filling and
interesting.
technically pastry on both sides, but it's
Mm.
connected all around.
Mm.
It's the Rebel in both cases, but it does technically still fit the category. Hot dog, perfectly in between.
Mhm.
It's sort of adjacent on the structure, and it's sort of adjacent on the topping.
I see. I accept this.
Science.
Interesting. I hadn't really considered that a Pop-Tart would be like the other end of that spectrum, but I suppose that it would be. Interesting. All right. Well, that is all of our questions for this evening. So, if you have any last parting words for Kee-Mo-Kee,
Keep on keeping on.
it's what we do. I feel like a few years ago they had a Kee-Mo-Kee show that was like, well, the one phrase that was like "keep calm and Kee-Mo-Kee on" or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a shirt. It's a cool shirt. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll chat with you soon. Stay connected to camp, and now I'm gonna end this sweet live stream.
All right. Bye, guys.